He says, if anyone else thinks he has reason for confidence in the flesh, I have more. Circumcised on the 8th day of the people of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews, as to the law a Pharisee, as to zeal a persecutor of the church, as to righteousness under the law blameless. Now, for us today, like these words are kind of like, big deal, born of this, born of that, whatever. But in his time, this carried some significant weight. And what I mean by that is the things that he's touching on here, when he says that I have, if anyone is to have confidence in the flesh, I more so. So first thing I want to do is what does that mean when he says confidence in the flesh? Right? It doesn't mean that Paul's like a muscular guy and he can outbench everybody in the room. What he's saying is, listen, there is this idea out there that is prevalent in humanity that can be summed up as this. To have confidence in the flesh essentially means that you have confidence in yourself or in your ability. And so there is this bent, this lean, this trajectory of humanity to find confidence in ourselves, to believe in ourselves, to think that the summation of life and the answers for all things therein is found in me, and I am the foundation upon which to build my life. And so Paul is saying, look, if there's anybody else out there that has reason to have confidence in themselves and in their abilities, guess what? I've got more. Now here's the crazy thing. One way to look at this is to think that Paul is simply speaking in a hyperbole, right? He's just exaggerating a little bit. But here's the crazy part. It got left in the Bible, so maybe the dude was saying something true about himself. And he's saying, look, if you think you've got any reason to have confidence in yourself and in your ability, I've got more. And here's why. He gives us his heritage. He says, listen, I was circumcised on the 8th day. Now, according to the traditions that God had handed down to the Israelites, this was significant. This practice of circumcision was a physical symbol of God's covenant relationship with them. It set them apart from the rest of the nations, declaring them to be God's people. And he says, listen, this happened to me. I was circumcised on the 8th day. When God declared it to be done, I met that. Check. Did you? And then he says, listen, in regards to who I am, I was born of the tribe of Israel, the very people that God selected as his own. I have that heritage. I am a Jew, a descendant directly of Abraham, and more specifically of the particular tribe of Benjamin. Are you? Are you? Check for him. Right? And then he says, as to the law, as to God's declared, revealed law about who he is and how he wants us to live, listen, I was extremely intent on obeying it. I was a Pharisee. A religious leader, recognized by all as someone who is an expert in these things, not just in my understanding, but in my ability to follow them. So that I can tell you this day that my zeal was such that I was a persecutor of the church, and my righteousness under the law, meaning that if you were to lay my life up against the requirements of the law, I would be considered blameless. So if you think you've got some ground to stand on in regards to having confidence in yourself and in your ability to stand before God, humanity, and the rest of the creation, I've got more than you. It's a profound statement. And so one way of looking at this is saying, man, Paul, you got some swagger and maybe you're a little bit arrogant here. And you're just kind of tooting your own horn. But I think what Paul is doing is he's actually trying to grab our attention to say, listen, I need you to hear this. This is important. Because there are two ways that this can play out. One is you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to build your life self-identity purpose on you and your abilities. And in the end, it's going to end really badly. Or there's another path for us, which is Christ. And so we're going to spend some time looking at that in a few minutes. But the first things I want to take a quick look at is these two primary sources of faulty foundations that we can build our identity on. And the first one is this: who we are. Who we are. And so here we see Paul telling us, he's like, look, here's my heritage, here's my pedigree, here's my birthright. These are the things that I just had available to me that were beneficial for me by simply being born. And so each of us in here, we have different things that were available to us just by the simple fact of who your parents were.